We're recording.
Okay, you're recording. Let's call the meeting to order. If you give the roll call, please.
Kate Vargo, Dan Delahunt,
Here.
John Fike,
Here.
Blake Harris,
Here.
Greg Peugeot,
Here.
William Siemens.
Here.
We have a quorum. That's good news. Okay, let me get this apart here. I should throw them apart here. We have the minutes from the January 18th meeting to approve. Can I get a
Motion to approve.
motion?
Second.
Get a motion, a second. Any questions on the motion? Not? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. This is an adjudication meeting, which means that if you're going to give testimony, you need to be sworn in. When you give testimony, you'll need to come to the microphone up here, give your name, your address, and then you can enlighten us. So if you would raise your right hand and say after me, I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You are sworn in. Okay, the first item on the agenda is 515 Cedar Point Road. It's an area variance to zoning code section 1145.15A to allow the construction of an accessory structure in the front yard and allow setbacks of less than 3 feet in an R175 single-family zoning district. We have staff's report. Is there anything additional you wish to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The site at 515 Cedar Point Road is zoned R175 Single Family Residential. All the properties surrounding this site are also zoned R175 Single Family Residential. Surrounding uses of this site are all residential. The existing use of this site is residential. The proposed use is staying residential. To reiterate, the two variances being requested tonight are to allow an accessory structure in what's considered the front yard and to allow an accessory structure to be located less than 3 feet from the property lines. The variance sought for this property would result in a built condition that fits within the neighborhood. Staff has observed a street perspective from 2011, there we go, showing a structure in a similar location to what is proposed. Staff pulled about half a dozen files from our records in the basement. Based on all the files I pulled, all of the requests along Cedar Point Road on the east side, the little slivers that go all along Cedar Point Road, were approved, except for one was partially approved because it was a two-story request. It is staff's assumption that the structure would be the same 14-foot footprint width as the parcel's 14-foot width, therefore putting the structure on the western and eastern property lines, but it's not clear on the site plan that was submitted. It is also unclear to staff what the northern setback would be, if any. Staff requested an updated site plan showing the proposed setbacks on February 6th of 2024. It was further suggested on February 9th of 2024 by staff that the applicant receive a survey to confirm the location of the property lines and also where the structure is going. The requested information has not been given to staff as of today, which is February 28th of 2024. Based on this information, staff suggests one of the two options for our recommendation. One is that the Board of Zoning Appeals approve the variance requested at 515 Cedar Point Road with the following conditions upon approval, and that's that all applicable permits are obtained to the Building Department, Engineering Department, Division of Planning, and any other applicable agency prior to any construction. That permits are issued, a survey and site plan are provided to staff showing the structure is not encroaching onto Cedar Point Road or surrounding properties, and that the footprint does not expand beyond what is proposed, nor are other accessory structures built in the front yard unless a separate variance is obtained. The second option staff's recommending is that the Board of Zoning Appeals tables the application until a survey and site plan are done simultaneously on the same document and brought back to the board for review. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of this request? If so, please come to the microphone.
Good afternoon. My name is John Tillery, 515 Cedar Point Road. I'm the applicant. We have an existing deck, and we're looking to put a pavilion in the same place with a little bit bigger footprint. We would prefer that we knew that the commission would allow us to, if we got got a site plan, if we got a survey, that the commission would allow us to build before we got the survey. The survey wasn't even a consideration until I saw it on the minutes here as a recommendation, so that's why we weren't prepared when we came last time, where there was no voting members. An additional idea of a tabling of this until a survey was done was pitched to me while I was standing here. And again, we would prefer that we knew that you would allow us to build if the survey was completed and if we stay within the property lines. So I don't know if you have any questions for me, or if that makes sense.
Questions from the board?
I saw reference to a gazebo. What are your plans?
It's just a pavilion roof with 6 posts that go where the existing deck is on a bigger foundation. It's a concrete block foundation. So.
Thanks.
And it's in, what I might also say is, before this deck was there was a beach house that spanned between this parcel and the parcel to the west. But at some point, one of the old owners sold off the west parcel, if that makes sense. So there used to be a beach house that straddled the property line on the west, which is now gone. So, okay.
Question for the staff. If that was built behind the existing wall there, to the north of that existing wall, is there any chance of it encroaching on Cedar Point Road?
Through the chair to Mr. Siemens. Yeah, it's very unclear, which is why staff is suggesting the consideration of having a site plan and also a survey done, because it would be based on the footprint straddling the line. If it's placed perfectly, it'd be 14 foot wide.
Which line?
The south and northern, I guess, so it's
Okay.
property lines. As proposed, the deck will be 14 feet wide. The parcel lines are 14 feet wide, so you'd have to get it perfectly
I think
at the
that's
right spot.
opposite. That's opposite. It's 75 foot wide, and we're proposing 14 foot from the west line towards the east, which we have 75 feet, but then north to south, every document is different. Some say 16, some say more than that. Some don't even have numbers on them. So that's what we're proposing. The survey would establish how north to south, how deep we could go, and then we haven't bought the package yet. We would just get the right, the right size. But 14 foot wide is west to east. And that's a 75 foot. That's on 75
It's
foot.
not like the road isn't perfectly, it doesn't run like east-west.
It is completely-
It's like northwest to southeast or
Listen.
whatever. So when you say north to south, are you talking water to road?
Water to road.
Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, water to road's what we really need. I think, in my opinion, water to road's what we really need. West to east, 75 feet, we've got plenty of room. We can encroach on that concrete there, the concrete we own. I don't know what's going on Cedar Point Road. I mean, even if you look at these walls here, I don't know why they're on Cedar Point property. I didn't build them. But it's interesting, after doing the research, that 28 of my neighbors have structures over the line, 5 foot to Cedar Point, in Cedar Point's property. So I'm here to try to do it right, but at the same time, I'm going to need to spend a bunch of money in order to have this request that we just got the day of or the day before the last meeting. I'm going to need to spend a significant amount of money in order to move forward even with that. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I may. So staff has no concerns with item 1 being requested, which is to allow the accessory structure in the front yard. I just want to make it clear that our concerns are the setbacks and where the structure's being placed and how far they are set back from the property line, if at all. Based on previous aerial images, I analyzed that the previous structure from prior to 2011 seemed to be encroaching. I'd like to try to prevent that going forward. It seems historically that might not impact the properties per se, but I would like to get this correct and on the property. Thank you.
When were you planning, assuming everything was approved, when were you planning on doing the work? I know it's warm out, or it was.
I
It's
mean,
cold.
this has been, a couple months in the works. You go to the building department, they say no problem, and then you get a call from planning, and then you get on the agenda. So, we were hoping to do something early in the spring here, but, we don't have to do any of this. We have a deck, while it's unpermitted deck, I guess, because nobody ever followed these steps previously. I mean, we don't need a pavilion, we just,
Well, I can tell you from all
Yeah.
the years that I've been on the
Yeah.
board, Dr. Seaman's the same, is anytime anybody's come to us with this request, they've been approved, but we've had a site plan that showed exactly where it was going to go, and they've not encroached. If there's ones that encroach over there, it's ones that were either built there a long time ago, or someone built them without permission.
yeah, there's something like 28 that encroach on that, and I'm not sure how many, if there's 100 sites or 150 sites, but,
Well, you say, where does it come from? Just
I've got all the addresses. It's like, I don't know what happened here. It's kind of like the Wild West, I guess, on this street for some reason. And I don't intend to be that way, that's why I'm
Yeah.
here, but,
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not aware of any, and I can't.
Yeah, there's
how many
20
years I've been on the
properties
board,
here.
but It's more than two, and we've.
I could-
approved one.
I've got the aerials of the
Okay.
20.
If you've taken an aerial from the auditor's page, they're
Yes.
not accurate.
Okay, well, again,
Yeah.
that's why we don't know how deep this thing could be, because we understand. But what I had wished, what would have been better is if, when I was applying here, if I was told, you need a site plan, or you need a survey before you even come to the board, is really what would have been
Well,
better.
they wouldn't have known until they've done their research. I mean, you walk in, they'll give you all the paperwork, then they'll do the research after you turn everything back in. So sometimes it takes a while.
Okay, well,
I'm uncomfortable approving this without a survey.
okay,
I would rather table it, have you get a survey, since, we're just talking tomorrow, not tomorrow, but Friday's the 1st of March. You're probably not going to do the work until April or May, depending on what the weather is.
whatever you feel is the right decision, just,
Mr. Chairman. So where your wall currently is the new structure going to sit right on top of that wall or?
well,
right behind it?
come to find out, the wall's on Cedar Point's property,
I was wondering,
unless the satellite
what
is
it,
wrong.
25 feet from the center line?
What's that?
I think you have to be 25 feet from the center line.
Yeah, I have landscape wall, you can see, that landscape wall and that wall is not even on my property. None of that is. None of that you see there is on my property. How it got there, I'm not sure. Who approved it, I'm not sure, but none of it's on my property.
Are you looking at the two brick white walls there?
Yeah,
That's not your-
none of that's on my property. Those landscaping beds that we weed, not on my property.
What is your property? I'm not-
What's that? Cedar Point's property, and that's what I'm saying, the whole down the road, that's why it seems like everybody's encroaching, because there's structures similar to my landscaping bed, that's all on Cedar Point property, so,
A lot of walls, because they are walls, don't require building permits,
okay.
so they can just be built. Now, if it's a fence, that requires a fence permit, but I'm not sure that we have a wall permit. So,
I don't know what's been done in the past, I'm just, obviously I'm here to try to do the right thing. I really, it's gonna be $1,400 just for the survey. And if I'm not sure that I will be approved after, I'm not sure that we need a pavilion, to be honest.
I would, and again, I'm just one of five, I would be in favor of approving it, provided we know that it's gonna be on your property, not on Cedar Point.
And that's the intent.
So,
Well, it's not even Cedar Point property. We pretty much know where Cedar property starts. It's that wall, right? It's also the north. You know, the north, I've got letters from ODNR and everything saying they have no issue, but we really need the north, you know. I know where the south line is. I don't know where the north
If your
line
survey comes
is.
back and says you own 14 feet and you're putting a 14-foot structure in, I'm in favor of that.
Yeah.
Because the only person to the north that's going to affect is the fish, so.
Yeah, right.
I can tell you, I'll be in favor of it as well, under those parameters, you know, to give you the peace of mind to get the
Yeah.
survey.
I mean, we don't intend to encroach on anyone. It's just,
Okay.
So with those retaining walls, going back to my question, the two retaining walls that the lower and the higher one,
yeah.
where was the structure start?
Well, you can see the deck and you can see the chairs there. See those blue chairs?
Yes.
That's where it is.
So it'll be behind that.
Behind the wall.
Behind the wall.
Behind the wall, right.
Got it.
Yeah, you won't even, you'll see the roof from the road, but you won't see, that wall's probably 6 foot or 7 foot
You're not
tall.
intending on ripping that out, you know?
Well, no, I mean, it's on Cedar Point property. At this point, I know we're not touching
Have
anything.
you talked to Cedar Point about where they're supposed to go from their center line? I mean, we had all that work done out there a few years ago. I'd hate
Yeah.
like hell for you to start building something and then they create a problem for you because you're building on their.
I've only owned for a year.
Sorry?
I've only owned there for a year. But in talking with the Association of Neighbors, Cedar Point really doesn't care a lot about any of that. They've been very, very good to all the neighbors, anything we've ever asked, they've given. But I haven't ever asked for anything, but,
It's worth checking with them, because that road was in severe disrepair.
Yeah.
About 2 years, for a number of years, until about 2 years before you purchased your place. And Cedar Point redid the road and was heavily involved in that. And the structures on the water side were a big topic during that period of time.
Okay.
For them, for Cedar Point.
Yeah.
So it just.
They may be able to point out where they go to for you.
were they what?
They may be able to tell you before you do your survey, maybe contact them and they'll tell you how far into the property their easement.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can do that. I'm not worried about the Cedar Point Road. I'm more worried about how far from there we go north, because that just is the size of the pavilion. Again, I think that survey will show right where my line is and right where Cedar Point's line is. And if it's a foot behind the wall, it's a foot behind the wall. I'm not gonna, we just won't go that far.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I would like just to clarify going back to the fence topic. In this case, if I were to be reviewing this today, I would not require a fence permit. However, it would be considered a yard structure, which is in the same section as the fence code. So this would technically require a permit, but since this is not a fence, because this is for erosion or flooding control, I would not, if I were reviewing it today, require a permit.
Okay.
Yep.
What I'm hearing, and you seem to be sounding okay with it, is that we're going to table this until you can come back and give them a survey, shows exactly where it is, and at that time, whenever the next meeting is, we'll take it up, and I'm fairly confident it will be approved. So
I'd make that motion.
Yep.
we have a motion and a second. Couldn't you get all that? Okay. To table this request until you can provide a survey. If you'd call the roll, please.
Dan Delahunt,
Yes.
William Siemens,
Yes.
John Fike,
Yes.
Greg Peugeot,
Yes.
Blake Harris.
Yes.
The motion is approved, and that request will be tabled, and we look forward to seeing you again.
thank you very much.
Thanks.
The next item on the agenda is 1412 East Farwell Street, an area variance to zoning code section 1145-15A to allow the construction of an accessory structure in the side yard in an R150 single-family zoning district. We have the staff's comment. Is there anything additional?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The site is zoned R150, single-family residential. All sites to northeast, south, and west are also zoned R150, single-family residential. The surrounding uses of this site are all residential. The existing use of this site is a church. The proposed use is staying a church. This is a variance being requested for an accessory structure in their side yard. This property is fairly unique in the fact that the main structure is set back 135 feet from East Farwell Street. The property is currently split into 3 different parcels. The main structure is on one of the landlocked parcels of the 3 that fronts an undeveloped road on the eastern side, which is Taft Avenue, which is, like I said, not been developed. The other 2 parcels are currently being used for access to the site off of East Farwell. And if the 3 parcels were combined, the site would be abutting 2 right-of-ways technically, one finished street, but 2 right-of-ways. In a strict interpretation of the zoning code, as the site currently sits, the distance between the front property line and the undeveloped Taft Avenue right-of-way, which is currently an overgrown wooded area, and the nearest facade would be considered the front yard of the main structure. Now, once they combine the 3 parcels, the front yard will then be considered East Farwell Street, as it's the narrowest part of the parcel. Because of that, the front yard will be the 135-foot setback off of East Farwell Street. The site has been in operation as a church in the past and continues to do so. Staff asked the applicant to supply documentation of the most recent use in the structure, and it was provided. The letter explaining the continuation of the church use at 1412 East Farwell Street was given to staff on February 9th of 2024, and a site plan was also delivered to staff on 2/12 of 2024. Planning staff supports the variance requested at 1412 East Farwell Street and suggests the following conditions upon approval. Now, this is an amended motion from the original packet that was given to you all. And the condition we are looking for is that all applicable permits must be obtained through the building department, engineering department, division of planning, and any other applicable agency prior to any construction. Thank you.
Is this one big parcel or these 3 parcels?
Currently, it's 3. If you look at the right image, it's hard to see just how zoomed out it is, and that's my apologies, but it is.
That's what I thought it was.
I can tell.
It is currently 3. The current structure is on one of the 3. It looks, and if you look, what I would call the driveway into the parking lot is 2 separate parcels.
Okay. And is the accessory structure going to be on a different parcel than the church?
As of right now, there is momentum to get all of them combined, and I have an application for that.
Okay.
So that's why it's not one of the conditions. If you guys feel safer to add that as a condition, feel free. But as of right now, the proposal is to combine all 3 parcels, put the accessory structure in the side yard of the church. That would be the north side of the structure right now, and then put a paved driveway and a new parking area on the site.
Okay. Okay, is there someone in the audience which speak in favor of this request? So please come to the podium.
Hello, my name is Piaget Hunter, and I guess the question would be, is there any reason that anybody would not want to see the variance go through?
Well, you're here to tell us why.
Well, basically, he pretty much explained it will be using as an accessory building, and a workshop later down the road as far as teaching people things and children and anybody who might want to learn something.
Okay, and as I understand it, is your intent to combine all 3 parcels into one?
Yes, if I need to.
Okay. Any
What-
questions?
Where is the accessory structure going on that map?
The accessory structure would basically be in line, starting back at Taft Avenue with the church, and then coming forward towards Farwell Street.
Got it.
Okay.
So near the end of the driveway, like straight, okay. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, so this is a great image here. So as you can see, a survey has been started. It just hasn't been officially applied for yet, but this is a survey. It has all the pins marked out. There's just nothing attached explaining the legal description that I have in front of me, but it seems to be that's in the direction that this is going.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
I'd make a motion to approve this variance with 2 conditions. One, that all permits are obtained, the proper permits are obtained. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I would like to say something also.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Please do.
I would just like to say I have no objection to Mr. Hunter building this building. if it is a pole
Can
barn.
you give me your name and
I'm sorry.
address?
My name is Marietta Johnson. I live on Farwell Street.
Do you live, the address on Farwell?
Yes,
What is your address?
1420.
Okay, you're south of this property?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
please.
all right. And as I said, I have no objection to him building this building. I was told it was going to be a pole barn to keep all of his tractors and things like that. But I also heard that it's going to be a building for young people, and I'm opposed to that because it's a resident for us that live there, and to have young people in and out during the night or anything. So if it's a pole barn, it's fine. And if it's going to be anything else that it's going to be used for, where are they going to park? And also, I'd like to know the hours. I'd like to also say if it's going to be anything else besides a pole barn, that you would be involved in that and not just approve him putting an object there, you know? And the church, it is no longer a church. It's not registered as a church, I don't believe, in the state. I've heard that it's an Islamic church and they meet several days a week, but that's not true. So the only thing I'm asking is that it not be something for young people to congregate. They have plenty of places in Sandusky to congregate, play basketball, whatever. That's my statement.
With all due respect, Ms. Johnson, why would you not want to see a place for the youth to be able to come and learn? You know, it's guys who can't change a tire.
Excuse me. Don't address your questions to her, it's to us. If you want to answer a question, you can do that in general.
Okay.
Okay. I think her question was, what is the construction of the building? What's it going to be used for specifically?
Well, specifically, there is really not a specific. It will be used for storage. And as I said before, if we decide to do a workshop, we might want to take a few young guys off the street and say, hey, man, this is how you properly change a tire in case of emergency. This is how you might want to change your brakes or something like that. You know, it's to get younger guys off the street, hey, we want to come over and come pray with us. Stop doing some of the stuff that you're doing out there. So what would be grounds for opposition for that? Why would anybody want to oppose that? And for two, as far as...
I don't know, it's just that you're applying for a garage as an accessory structure. If it's going to be used for anything else other than that, when you go to get a building permit, you'll have to get a permit for the specific use.
Okay, but the thing is, it's like, this isn't something that we're making money off of or something like that. I'm not saying that it's going to be something that's open 6 or 7 days a week. It's like we might decide one day to say, hey guys, we're having a workshop as part of what we're doing. Come on over to the workshop and learn something for today. You know, I might decide, hey, come on over, I'm gonna show you guys how to put flooring in, you know, with models or something of the sort.
See, now you're going to run into problems because now you're becoming a classroom. And as an accessory structure, a permit to get a garage, you wouldn't be allowed to do that.
Don't most churches have classrooms in them?
If your classroom is going to be in the church, yes. If your classroom is going to be in that garage, no, that would not be allowed.
Okay, that's fine. We'll keep it strictly as an accessory building. That's fine.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman, I see four parking places drawn on this site plan. Is there currently other parking around the building that is the church?
Yeah,
Will
there's,
that be accessible?
in the middle, there's parking, and also along the drive coming in, we plan on putting parking spots to the side of that.
Thank you.
Is it currently a church right now?
Yes, it is currently a
Okay,
church.
that's
It's a
great.
private
And everything
church.
else.
Is it registered in the state?
Your survey says the garage is going to be 40 by 40, and the request here that it's a 14 by 20 garage?
I don't know where the 14 by 20 came from, but we asked for a 40 by 40.
actually says 14 by 20 here.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, that may have been from before we got the site plan. We did get the site plan the day of the original scheduled meeting, so there may be some old information in there.
Okay. Size of the garage would concern me, because again, I'm, not that what you're doing is good or bad, it's just that it doesn't fit in the neighborhood. I mean, this is a residential neighborhood. You know, the church being in a residential neighborhood, they're like that all over the place. But if it's going to be something other than that, where you're going to have that as a classroom or something, that would be something that I think is, I mean, we're trying to do the best interests of you as well as Mrs. Johnson and all the other neighbors.
Well, I just said as well, we could use it as just an accessory structure. And that would be fine.
Okay? Mrs. Johnson, please come up to the microphone again.
And as I said, I have nothing against him putting a pole barn there. But if he's going to use it for something else, I would like it earmarked just for that, nothing else. And if it's for the young people, I'm not against the young people. I work with the young people all the time throughout the city. And so I would oppose to that, because they have somewhere they can go. And Pastor Joe Brown, he owns one of those properties. I don't know if it's the front or the back. I think it's the front, the side or whatever, and he's opposed to it. But his son is ill, and he can't be here today. So that's the reason he's not here. He wants to come and speak on this also. So I'm opposed to, if it's a pole barn and he's going to store things there, fine. But as far as teaching the young men, I've seen them at times playing basketball out there. And I had to go and ask them not to play basketball there, because other things come up. They're arguing, fighting or whatever, and I don't want that. I want to go to bed at night.
Just so both of you know, we're limited as to what we can do. We can't say, hey, it has to be a pole barn, or it has to be a concrete block building, or what. All we're saying is that we're approving a variance for an accessory building of a specific size and location. We don't, I don't think we have the ability to put any other type of requirements on that.
Can I say one more thing?
If there was a problem where all of a sudden they started using it, let's say for a classroom or showing kids how to change tires or whatever, you would have recourse to the city. You'd start with the planning department, and they would get the building department involved. And I'm sure Mr. Hastings would also be involved at that time.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
I do want you guys to know I did keep Mrs. Johnson in mind, because I could have requested to put that pole barn in back of the building, which would have took up a greater part of her backyard, because that is my property. And there is no pastor that owns any property of that. If you look at the survey or whatever, every lot there I own. There's a small portion of the front lot that I don't own, but we didn't put that into the drawing.
Okay, so you own the parcels on
I own every parcel on there, on that drawing.
Farwell in front of the church.
Yes, I do, except there's a very small parcel. If you look, there's a bundle of trees.
Are you saying to the south, Pete? I'm sorry. Or are you saying?
Can you zoom in on it?
I'm unfortunately unable to zoom in.
Okay, right up by the road, there's a bundle of trees. And if you're looking at the property, it's on the right-hand side. It's probably about 20 feet that I don't own, but the rest of it I do own. And as I said, that's not in the drawing. We only put in the drawing the parcels that I do own.
So I'm looking at the survey there. There's a piece on Farwell Street, which is one lot, 40 foot wide by the depth of whatever there's 118 feet. And behind it, there are 3 parcels
if you look at it, where it says Farwell Street up here in the corner,
Yep.
and then it comes back and it makes an L shape, I own all of that. Now, if you look behind the parcel, I think it says 806, there's a small part around the 806 area up front that I don't own, and it's not even big enough to put a house on.
You talking about 886?
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, right in that area.
I think the 886 is a lot number of what that is. So you don't own lot 886.
No, it's an area that's right in that area. Everything in that area I own. Go back, click back one picture. Okay. If you look in the front, there's a bundle of trees right up front. And if you're this way, look to the left-hand side, there's a bundle of trees. That little area right there I don't own, but the rest of it I do.
Okay.
That lot's 40 feet wide, so you own the whole 40-foot width, or do you own more than 40 feet?
I think I own more than 40 feet of it.
Mr. Chairman, the survey shows 40 feet there.
Okay, then I own 40 feet if that's the case.
And then that is one parcel. But our issue isn't what you do own, what you don't own, it's that if we're approving your use, this use variance for.
And you know what, using it for an accessory structure, I'd be 100% fine with that. There's no issues, but I figured, hey, if we had the room and the space or whatever, why not help somebody else out, you know?
But that's possible, but building code wise, it won't let you.
That's fine also.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think you might have reiterated this, so excuse me if I'm repeating, but what's in front of us tonight is not for a use variance. If the use goes beyond what is permitted as an accessory use, and it is requested that they do so, they have to get another variance, a use variance to do that.
Okay. So if board agrees, we would be approving this as an accessory building, and the use is a shed, garage, or storage.
Yep, any approvable permitted use per the zoning code could be used in the building as any approved accessory use, excuse me.
Because we're limited by what we can do in that regard, so.
So if Mr. Hunter would want to do uses beyond what's permitted currently, he'd have to get another variance to do so.
Okay.
And that would take Mrs. Johnson into consideration for what her problem might be with the structure, is that true?
That's correct. So same process, 300 feet of notices for the property go out. So Ms. Johnson, if she's still residing there, would get a notice again.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm seeing a discrepancy between the site plan and this bird's eye view. This shows lot 86 as being the access back, but it appears that it's 887 heading back to 904. I would assume that the site plan is more accurate than this because this doesn't include that driveway on 886. I don't know
Mr.
how
Chairman,
many
what I'm
lots
seeing,
there.
what I'm
are-
seeing is 887 is highlighted and is the access road. It's hidden under the 1412 address on the image, but
Right, I see 887,
Yeah.
but I've got a red line around 886, 905.
It's in two different,
Yeah,
the
it's
same
just different
drawing
in
is
the
done
package.
twice
okay.
differently.
That's what Okay.
Mr. Siemens is
Okay.
referring to.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
my apologies. What's on the screen is most
Look on the
accurate.
screen, Bill, the screen is different than what you're looking at, even though it shouldn't be.
This is the same as this right here. Oh, you're right, it is different.
Yeah.
So there
So-
are
This, what's on,
essentially 5 lots.
Correct.
So historically, there would be 5. So at one point in time, 3 of the parcels got combined to where the church is now, but currently, in current times, there's 3 parcels.
Okay, 887 and 904 are and then the church property are the separate ones.
And then my apologies, That must have been rollover from the last meeting, and without the site plan, we didn't have a specific location, so I might have guessed a little bit. My apologies.
Okay?
Is it your recommendation that they combined all the lots?
So we left it out because we're in a pre-process of doing that currently. So if you want to play it safe and err on the side of caution, I would then suggest you add a condition that the lots be combined prior to any construction.
And do you have a problem with that?
Do we need to combine all of the lots, or is it just the two? It's just the two, correct?
In this case, yeah, we need to combine all of them so we don't create any landlocked parcels.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm going to stick with that. I do fully believe we need to combine all of them.
So that you'll always have access and property flow, it'll all be across your property, and I think that would be the
That's fine.
wisest way to do it.
Okay? Any other questions?
John, do you want to ask if anyone else wants to speak?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I see a shake head no, and you're good too?
Well, I'm not, but I'm not going to say anything.
Okay, that's your prerogative. Mrs. Johnson?
I would like to say also, Pastor Joe Brown did call me, and he said to check and see if he could talk over the phone. I don't know if that's possible.
I don't think they allow that.
Okay, I didn't know.
We used to have Zoom meetings, but that was during the pandemic,
Okay,
and then that was by special request, and that's now gone, so.
okay. I do got a question. So,
Would you come up here? She needs to, we're taking minutes, but everything everybody says goes down in minutes, and so we need your name and address.
Donna Alexander, 1409 East Firewall Street. It's right across the street.
Okay?
So as far as what the property, what he's using it for, like right now, you guys keep saying church, which I know that it's not a church and it's not being used as a church, because actually the structure is, I believe, a home now. So when he gets this built, how would we know what it's used for? How would we be included in that, knowing what it's used for, where if it's used for something that we don't want it to be used for, we could protest it, because it is a residential neighborhood and we want it to stay that way?
Two issues there. One, there is, it's been described as a church use, and two, the accessory building would be separate, not church use, but an accessory to the church. So if you see that something's going, I mean, we don't police this, nor does the planning department do, but if they get a complaint, then they look into it. So let's say, there was a lot of noise coming over here. Mrs. Johnson sees about 16 people over there playing basketball inside this accessory building. A call to the city would all it would take, and then they would investigate as to what it's being used for. And if it's not being used for what this variance was approved, they have the ability, and would be through the law director, to stop it.
Okay. Okay.
But it would take someone like yourself to complain.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. I think now we're ready.
Well, I'll take up where I left off before, was I would make a motion to approve this variance for an accessory building with two conditions. One, that all permits are obtained through Building Department, Engineering Department, Division of Planning, and that also a lot combination is done to combine all the lots in question.
And that combination would need to be done before building permit.
Before permit could be
Okay.
issued.
Any second on that?
I'd second that.
Second.
You got 2 seconds on that. Does everybody understand the motion? Any questions on it? If not, if you call the roll, please.
Blake Harris,
Yes.
William Siemens,
Yes.
John Fike,
Yes,
Greg Peugeot,
Yes.
Dan Dillahunt.
the variance is approved. those conditions. Is there anything else on the docket that we're not aware of?
After this meeting, Mr. Chairman, we will have a meeting next month. So far, we have 4 items on the agenda, so it'll be fairly packed meeting.
Well, with Mr. Harris here, we know that he's going to be here. You're not going to Florida, are you?
No,
Okay.
maybe one day,
Dan
no
might
time
be.
soon. I didn't bring my phone, but I think I might be. What's the date of the meeting?
Testing, I think it's the 21st, off the top of my head.
I do think I'll be gone.
Okay. We'll have a quorum of 4, so.
Well, 2 of the items, Mr. Fike, I believe, is involved with. Is that correct? So we would need 4 people here, total 3 aside from Mr. Fike to vote. So
Right now, Dan's the only one that knows he's not going to be here.
we would need everyone else to show up besides Dan.
Okay.
Shouldn't be a problem.
All right.
All right.
Very good. Motion
We
to
need a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
So move.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Do you keep a list of the surveyors? I don't know if Dave Williams is on that.
Yeah, I keep about